everybody, it's me, Miss Lisa. Today we are going to use air dry clay, paint, and Mod Podge to make a pancake pot. At first glance, it looks like a stack of delicious pancakes, but when you remove the top pancakes, you find a secret hiding place for your special stuff. To complete this project, you will need a craft kit from the South Huntington Public Library. Your craft kit will contain 1 ball of air dry clay, a skewer, a small container of yellow paint, a small container of brown paint, and a small container of Mod Podge. To complete this project, I would suggest that you cover your workplace with a piece of wax paper or aluminum foil, because air dry clay is a little messy and it leaves red residue on your hands and on your work surface. You will also need a small cup of water for constructing your clay pot. Okay, so let's tape down the wax paper to our workplace and then we can get started. I'm going to use some painter's tape. You can also use some masking tape, but the tape helps to keep the paper in place while you're rolling your clay. All right, let's get started. Okay, your pancake pot is going to consist of a few different pieces. A flat round piece for the lid, flat round piece for the bottom, and several coils for the stack of pancakes, along with a small piece of clay that can be used as a pat of butter. To begin, let's divide our clay into several pieces so we don't run out at the end of our project. Okay, pinch off a couple of larger pieces and maybe make 2 of them approximately 2 inches wide. These 2 bigger balls will be used for the base and for the lid. I'm going to set aside a little piece to use for the butter, and this will be divided up to make the pancakes. So let's start out with the base. We'll start by rolling the clay into a ball and then pushing it between our hands into a circle. You could also press it onto your workspace. Try to get it as round as you can. You can make it any size you would like, but the bigger you make your base, perhaps the fewer pancakes you'll have in your stack. You'll want to pat it into a circle. It's approximately that thick, kind of like a thin cookie. And we'll set that aside for a moment. And now we will work with the remaining ball of clay to make the pancakes. So pull off a small piece and roll it into a ball. This ball will probably be about 1 inch wide or so. Roll it into a ball, and then you're going to start to roll it into a snake. This is the fun part. This is probably the easiest pancakes you'll ever make. Okay. And we'll try to keep the snake the same thickness from end to end. We can always trim off the ends that we're not going to need. see if the snake goes all the way around the perimeter of the base. And it does. We'll pinch off this little piece of clay that we don't need and just set that aside. And pinch the two ends of the snake together. This is where your glass of water will come in handy. Put a little bit of water on your fingertip and you can use that to smooth the seams together. And then lightly press the snake down onto the base. And now you've got one pancake in your stack. Let's take another ball from the ball of clay here. It's like that's about an inch, so that's good. And we'll make another snake. And roll it. Put it on your work table. Taking care to make sure that it's approximately the same thickness from end to end. If you're ever unhappy with how your snake is looking at either end, you can use the skewer, the pointy end of your skewer, to cut the clay. It's easier and safer than using a knife. Okay, that looks like it should, should go all the way around the pot. Oh, not quite. Let's roll a little bit more. And it looks like my snake didn't quite stay the same width from end to end, but that's all right. That will just give your stack of pancakes a little bit of character. If you've ever seen a real stack of pancakes, you'll know that they are never perfect. And I'm using a little bit of water to fuse the ends of the snake together. And then press down lightly so it sticks to the rest of the pot. Okay. Looks like I might be able to get maybe 2 more pancakes. I could probably take a little bit from this ball that I've set aside for the butter. Maybe able to get 2 more snakes out of the clay I have left. Okay, that would be a nice stack of pancakes. Okay, here we go. Taking care that the thickness will be pretty much the same from end to end. But like I said, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The important part is that you have fun making this. Let's start on this side. I hope it will go all the way around. Oh, not quite. Let's roll a little bit more. All right, now we're going to attach it. Laying it right on top of the last snake. These pancakes are going to be the side of your pot. I'm going to pinch off that little bit that I don't need. Add it to the next snake. And use a little bit of water to smooth this out. If you notice any scratches on the side, you can use some water to smooth those out as well. I see some scratches and some nicks on the bottom of my pot, so I'm going to use some water to smooth that out. Okay. Looking good so far. This is the last ball of clay I have for making a snake. going to be a really tall stack of pancakes. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to add this. Oh, I just scratched that with my fingernail. To the top. Go around carefully, and then pinch off the part you don't need. Set that aside. Push it down gently so it sticks to the other snakes. And maybe use a little bit of water to smooth the seam here and here on the top. It looks like there's a crack in this pancake, so I'm going to smooth that out with some water. Okay, and there is your stack of pancakes. Now for the lid. We're going to make the lid in the same way that we made the base. Roll the clay into a ball and press it between your hands so it starts to take on a circle shape. And you can press it onto the table to flatten it out. And what you want to do is press it into a circle shape that is just slightly larger than the top of your stack of pancakes. So before I keep going, we're going to see how I'm doing. Looks like I could go a little bit more so that it covers up my whole secret box and no one will be able to see what's inside. Again, it's going to be kind of thin, like a cookie. And that looks pretty good. That covers up my whole box. Okay, so set the lid aside, and if you'd like to smooth out the edges of your lid, you can do so by dipping your finger in the water and just rubbing it around the edge of the lid, like this. Okay, and now we're ready to add a pat of butter. So we have this little piece of clay that we set aside. I'm going to roll it into a ball. And there's a couple of different ways you can make your pat of butter. You can squish your ball into a square using your fingers, or you could flatten it out on your workspace and push it together with your fingers like this. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little dot of water and my pat of butter to the lid. Okay. Now, your pancake pot is put together, but this is what we've been working with today is air dry clay, which means that we need to let this dry. You will set this aside in a safe place and let it dry for 2 days so that it becomes nice and hard, like this one. After it dries, you can paint and add your Mod Podge. All right, so I'll see you again in a couple of days. I know it's hard to wait, but sometimes with art projects, that's what you have to do. To make waiting a little easier, take some time now to enjoy a story called Hey Pancakes. Hey Pancakes, Words by Tamsin Weston, pictures by Stephen Gamel. Pancakes. Ring, whack. Shh, alarm clock. No shoe, holy sweater. Where's that other sock? Why get up, for goodness sake? Wait, that smell. Could it be pancakes? Sift, stir, whir, whisk. Drop it in the pan and listen to it hiss. A speck of this, a few of those, a flick of the wrist, and up it goes. A pancake flip, a pancake flop, pancake bottom over pancake top. A pancake here, a pancake there, one in the pan, and 3 in the air. I'm flapjack in the hot cake seat. Check out the stack that I'm gonna eat. Holy cow, it's pancake art. Get ready, get set, 'cause here's the best part. Add some butter and syrup and surprise! Shazam! It disappears right before your eyes. Bite it in the middle. It's a pancake hole. If you want to pass, pay the pancake toll. Jelly in my ears, syrup on my toes. Hey, that's a blueberry stuck on my nose. Move over, Rover, that last bite's mine. All done now, it's cleanup time. Bye, sticky hands. See ya, sticky face. Save some for later in a secret place. With a little dab of maple behind each ear, go out into the world and give a pancake cheer. Welcome back. When your pancake stack is dry, it's ready to paint. You have brown and yellow paint in your craft kit. I'm going to start with the yellow to paint the pat of butter. Let's try this little brush, like this. You may notice that the first coat of paint you put on does not completely cover the brown clay. So what you can do is complete your first coat on the entire project, set it aside for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then come back and add another coat if you would like it to be a nice deep color. Sometimes it can be hard to cover up this brown clay. And there is my beautiful pat of delicious yellow butter. And now I'm going to use this golden brown color to make my pancake stack look a little bit more like delicious pancakes. So you can cover the whole top of the lid and paint down the sides. Like so. You might get a little bit of paint on your hands as you're turning your project. Don't worry. This is acrylic paint, but it does wash off of your skin with soap and water. However, try not to get it on your clothes because it doesn't come out so easily. That's why I'm wearing an apron today. You could wear an apron or a smock, maybe an old t-shirt turned inside out. Just anything that you don't mind getting paint on. Maybe some of you are already artists and you already have a smock or an old t-shirt on hand for projects just like this one. Okay. So for now I finished the top of the lid. I would like to paint the bottom, but I'd like to wait for the top to dry. So I'm going to set this aside. I'll come back in 20 or 30 minutes. I can turn this over and paint the bottom. While I wait for the lid to dry, I'm going to work on painting my stack of pancakes. Painting all around the sides. Covering up as much of the brown clay as you can. If a little bit shows through, that's okay. But like I said, if you don't want any of the brown to show through, you can give it a second coat. Just be sure that you let the first coat dry. Otherwise, you might end up with some globs of paint on your project. Okay, go all the way around the outside. And also, you may not want to add so much paint that you can no longer see the stacks in your pancakes. So just be aware as you're painting that you don't want to use too much so you don't lose the look of the pancakes. Okay, it's a little bumpy down here on the bottom. I didn't see that. That's okay, I'll just cover up those blemishes with some paint down here on the bottom. Okay, now I'd like to paint the top pancake to be the same color as the outsides. And if you'd like, you can paint the inside of your box as well. Or you can leave it dark brown as it is. That's totally up to you. I think we'll go ahead and paint the inside. That looks pretty cool. Okay. Looks good. Or it looks delicious, I should say. All right, so I'm finished now with my first coat. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll add a second coat if I would like. After 20 or 30 minutes, if you've decided that you don't want to add a second coat and you're very happy with the color, then it's time to make your stack of pancakes shiny. And that's where your Mod Podge comes in. That's the white stuff in your kit that looks like glue. And it will look like glue when you're painting it onto your project, but it will dry and make a nice shiny clear coat on your pancake stack. So when the paint is completely dry, you can give it a coat or two of the Mod Podge. This will protect your clay pot and make it nice and shiny. I like to add more than one coat of Mod Podge when I'm working with it, and you have to keep in mind the same thing that you keep in mind when you're painting. Be sure the first coat dries completely before adding a second coat. Otherwise, it might get a little bit lumpy. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It does look like glue, right? But don't worry about that. It will dry nice and clear, and it will dry flat too. It's really cool stuff. If you've never used it, this is really cool stuff. It's good for decoupage. It's good for making any piece of artwork shiny and smooth. Okay, so I just finished the lid. I'm going to set that aside, let it dry, and now I'm going to work on the stack of pancakes. Painting all around and getting the Mod Podge into the cracks too. Don't worry if you get it on your hands, it's just like glue, and it will wash off with soap and water. And I am going to go ahead and paint the inside of the box, so the box on the inside will be just as shiny as the box is on the outside. Painting the bottom. Looks like glue, but that's okay. It will dry nice and clear, and even giving a coat to the sides on the inside. Try to make your brush strokes as smooth as possible, but if it's a little lumpy, that's okay. It will probably dry smooth. Okay. I have one nice coat of Mod Podge on the outside, on the inside, and on the lid. I'm going to let it dry for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and I'll probably add a second coat so it will be extra shiny. And after that dries, it will be ready for me to fill with my special treasures. Thank you so much for crafting with me today. I hope you had a good time. I know I did, and I hope I can craft with you again soon. Take care.